You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's now time for our main event. Take a trip back in time to the golden era of the wrestling world with your host, Chris Tetrold Blade. Welcome to Once Upon a Turnbuckle.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition of Once Upon a Turnbuckle. And one thing I really enjoy with this, the fact that I've now got to, so many episodes, and that I've got an excuse to bring back previous guests. And a guy I've got with me, those of you who've probably seen the last episode he did with us last year, you will recognize him. Those who don't, the bastard son is back in the house. I wanted to say that because I thought it was quite cool.
Hello. I mean, granted, I am back with a little less hair, but
yes, you are. Yeah,
I'm back nonetheless.
Bit of a Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of vibe going on there.
Yeah, it was time. It was. I was slowly losing it back here, and I thought I was kind of in denial, so it was time to go. Time to go.
You know, that's my plan as well if I ever came to that. But
yeah.
So not only wrestler, owner and promoter of No Mercy Wrestling, Chris Bevan. It is wonderful to have you back in the house again. We've got quite a bit to catch up on, really. It's only been 8 months.
Yeah.
But I think we spoke last time under the guise of something else I was doing at the time with the guys from Pro Wrestling Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of got into, what you had going on.
Sure.
And it's been brilliant to see that how much that has progressed since obviously we're talking about No Mercy Wrestling.
Yeah.
And congratulations firstly.
Thank you.
The how you've launched, how it's all started. It's getting it off the ground. I know COVID got in the way a little bit at the beginning again. To not only delaying the start, but then obviously when you were about to have your first show, it put that on hold. But yeah, just kind of. I'll let you kind of fill the gap between when we spoke last, where you were introducing No Mercy Wrestling and the Academy, and then your first show, which you were looking forward to. What has happened then between sort of then and now?
Oh, it's been insane. I actually rewatched our last episode yesterday just to remind myself of where we were at the time.
Sure.
But I remember watching it and thinking, oh my God, we have actually done quite a bit. Yeah. We've done a lot in that. Has it actually only been 8 months?
It has, according to YouTube, might be a bit longer. They might be rounding down a bit, but yeah.
Between 8 and 9, yeah. But I mean, since we last spoke, I think I said that we were just about to start our classes. Obviously they did start, and we've got a fantastic group of guys, regular trainees now that are just absolutely killing it right now. And obviously I'll go into this a bit later on, but we've actually built a series of shows around that just to showcase our guys, which is amazing. Yeah. And we had the first show of that not long ago, but again, I'll talk about that later. But we've started the classes. We obviously had our first show. As you said, the first show was originally supposed to be in January, but COVID decided to put a stop to that, unfortunately.
It still lingered. It should have been done with us.
It's still there, man. It's still causing issues. We ended up having it March 19th. Obviously, it went ahead. It was absolutely amazing. Of course, it was because it was my first show that I promoted. I was told by a couple of friends of mine who promote that when that last 3 count on the last match of the show hits, there'll be a euphoria feeling and a feeling of like coming over you. And I was like, I wasn't sure if I would believed it, but it is true. Wow, it really does happen. And that last 3 count, like our main event was the 3-way dance with Alex Windsor, who was Wrestle Carnival champion, Lucia Lee and Cara. And when that last 3 count hit, I was back at Gorilla. I was watching on the monitor, and I just went, "Oh, we've done it! It's done! All that stress and all that effort has come to this, and it is such a great feeling. It really, really is.
That's good.
And I just want to keep repeating that now. And obviously, we've had our second show, the Academy show, and the same thing happened again. And even if I want to risk saying it, it was even better. It was it was so good. And obviously, as I said, yeah, we've got the trainees going. We've got our first show, and now we've got not only our own shows, but obviously because I own a ring and we have I offer out ring and crew services. We've been working with Pro Wrestling Chaos. We provided the ring and crew for their return show, which was huge. Awesome. You know, a history making show. We've provided ring and crew for Defend Wrestling, Mark Andrews' company, when they did their weekender in Cardiff. We've crewed for Modern Nomad. We've been working with obviously Carnage as we have been before. It's just blown up. It's just gone absolutely mental.
Obvious question at this stage, really. Is it living up to expectations? You know, or where does it say? Yeah, exceeded.
Way ahead of what I expected. Yeah. I mean, when I started No Mercy, you know, like as I told you before, my initial plan was just to have a unit with a ring in it that I could rent out to my friends, you know, to get the ring rust off when shows came back from COVID. But it's exceeded so many of my expectations. I can't even describe it. It's inexplicable.
It's brilliant. I mean, considering the time that you've decided to embark on this as well, you know, a lot of things, I think a lot of good has come out of COVID, the whole lockdown thing, because you see that. I mean, we've seen it with Carnage as well, you know, the boom that there has been since that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with yours, I mean, your vision, by the sounds of it, like you just touched on, spreads beyond just what you're giving people at your events and in your ring. You know, you are working with others. I mean, is that in a way, are you going to be reaping more benefits from that, you know, in terms of encouraging more people to come to you through getting your name around by working with other promotions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, also, I'm a huge believer of getting rid of old, tired dinosaur ways in pro wrestling. Like the days of hating a promotion just because they're 20 miles away from you, like that's just ridiculous to me. It's so stupid. But unfortunately, there are still promotions out there like that they'll go out and rip a poster down. They'll go out and put their poster over yours. It's schoolyard, childish tactics that needs to stop. And since I started No Mercy, I've always been a proponent of, I want to work with everyone that I can. I want to, like, if everyone works together, the scene gets better.
Absolutely.
You know, and everyone wins. So I don't know why there are still people out there like that. It is what it is. But, you know, as I said, we work with Carnage, with Chaos, Defend, Modern Nomad. Like the Welsh scene specifically right now it's massive. Huge. It's the biggest it's ever been in a long time. You know, just in a small radius, we've got obviously No Mercy, we've got Carnage, you've got Slam Masters, you've got Defend, you've got Modern Nomad, you've got Exposure, you've got Welsh Wrestling. That's just 7 off the top of my head. There are more. And it's crazy. And just the fact that most of these companies are now working together is a huge...
It's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, why I've often wondered this. I don't think I've asked this. All the guys I spoke to from Carnage and that is, what is the reason, do you believe, the Welsh scene is growing like it is, you know, compared to, I mean, other places have got promotions popping up, but the Welsh scene does seem to be quite sort of prominent at the minute.
I think obviously a lot to do with it are, you know, the guys that have moved on to NXT UK, you know, like, you know, Mark Andrews and Hitch and Danny, all of those guys, they stamped us on the map. You know, obviously they've worked for the bigger WWE shows, and obviously we got the big pay-per-view coming in Cardiff. So that on its own has, and especially because it's part of the network now as well, everyone in the world can see, oh, these guys are from Wales. There must be something going on there. You know, I think that has really, really helped things. And the more promotions that pop up, I mean, obviously there is going to be a a problem if too many come along.
Yeah.
Because then it's going to be like, so a needle in the stack of needles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think right now, like, we've got a really, really good scene growing, and it's not even a fact of like, because a lot of people would think, oh, it's oversaturating, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, I speak with Carnage, I speak with Slam Masters, I speak with all the local guys, and we all work around each other of when to put our shows on. And, you know, we all have a group chat, and we'll say, right, I'm going to run here. Okay, I'll run here. So we don't cross over and mess each other. And that's the way it should be. That's what wrestling could be.
Yeah.
And as you said, I think that's why the Welsh scene in particular is climbing, because we're working together rather than arguing, which is just so stupid.
It's almost like the old days of the NWA, isn't it?
Yeah,
how they ran. You know, that's fantastic to know that somewhere in the world, especially so close to home, really, that is happening. So you've actually reminded me of something. Then obviously it wouldn't have been around last time we spoke. Was, you know, WWE, the big event that's coming to Cardiff in the summer. Have you got anything sort of planned? Are the cogs turning as to obviously how, you know, having that many thousands of wrestling fans in Cardiff on your doorstep that weekend? Have you got anything planned that you're going to try and sort of you know, take advantage of that opportunity?
Well, I was thinking about it. Obviously, I think it would be silly not to think about it. The only issue we've got is obviously the pay-per-view is happening on the same weekend. You've got Progress, you've got TNT. I think there's another one happening. I think it's like a midnight show. I can't remember who it might be. No, it's gone in my head. There's at least 2 or 3 other. It's ICW. There it is. ICW are running.
Oh, of course. Okay.
They're running a show directly after the pay-per-view in the stadium.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In a smaller venue just down the road.
Right.
So you know, it's not a coincidence that the promotions that are running are network affiliated. I think we can all see why that's happening.
Yeah.
But again, it's nothing but good things. I think that it is happening, because the fact that now Progress and ICW and TNT are coming to Cardiff, that just gets more eyes on the Welsh scene.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if someone comes to that pay-per-view and they go to the stadium that don't live in Wales, or they've never been to Cardiff maybe, and they really enjoy it, and they think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and see the show in the tram shed down the road.
Yeah.
And then they think, actually, this was bloody awesome. I'm going to go to Cardiff more often and see what else is there, you know? So it's all good. But yeah, I unfortunately, No Mercy won't be doing anything show-wise around that, because, again, I think it would just be a case of oversaturation. Excuse me. So we'll see. I have something planned for that weekend, but it's not in Cardiff. I haven't got it confirmed yet, so I can't say any more than that.
No, that's cool. Watch this space.
There may be something happening, but yeah, as for actually in the area, I personally won't be doing anything. I think I'll leave it to the professionals.
Will you be there? Are you one of the lucky thousands that have got tickets, or did you come?
I haven't got a ticket yet. I may. I don't know. I'm really on the. I really am, mainly because I'll be honest with you, I'm being so busy, I forgot that they went on sale.
Which is a great excuse, really.
I did actually miss when they went on sale, because I forgot about it. But I know of like a lot of the guys that train with me, they're gonna go. I know a lot of people that are going. It's, as you know, a lot of people are saying. I mean, I saw the prices as well.
I was going to say, I was never going to put in for the tickets anyway, because I again, it would be really hypocritical of me, I think, to not be interested in the product they're putting out. But yeah, okay, I'll spend like 500 quid to go.
I could not believe those prices. It was insane.
Ridiculous. So yeah, I am intrigued. I don't know. It's got big shoes to fill. You know, a lot of people are comparing it to the last time they were over here. I don't think you'll really be able to top SummerSlam at Wembley. Myself,
not
but
at all.
You know, it's a great opportunity. I think if I went to Wales, I've got plenty of other reasons to come to Wales to watch wrestling.
Yes,
than WWE. So let's steer towards the academy for a second. Is this tied in with the Iron Cobra event?
Yes.
Is this what? Yeah. So there we go. So what's the? I was going to ask you what the idea behind that was. So you touched on the fact that it's linked to your academy. So just sort of give us a rundown of where what the shows are based around, and what people can expect, and some of the breakout stars you've got coming through as well, who you would sort of encourage people to keep your eye on.
Oh, honestly, yeah, we've got so many. Well, I wanted to give, like, obviously we have our big shows at Team Reese Gym. We're aiming to do sort of like back in the 90s where WWF did the big four, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. We're kind of aiming to do that with the Team Reese shows. So we'll have 4 big shows throughout the year, and then everything else will be a Cobra show. So when I say Cobra show, it's essentially an academy show. I wanted to build something just for our No Mercy guys, to give them a chance to show what they can do on a smaller scale. So less pressure, if you will. It's a smaller production, smaller venue, less people, obviously, and just a way for them to get used to working in front of a crowd and getting those reps in the ring. Where if they were thrown into one of the bigger Team Reese Gym shows, it's obviously there's a lot more people, it's a bigger production, it's a lot more pressure for them. So I wanted to build something like that. So I sort of see it like that's like our developmental brand, if you will. And then once they start getting, being ready to come off of that, then they can come on to the bigger Team Reese shows. But I wanted to obviously build that brand, but I wanted to do something else with it that just gives the guys a reason something to look forward to, something to work towards. So I came up with this tournament, the Iron Cobra tournament, and it's 8 guys, all No Mercy trainees, and obviously the quarterfinals happened a couple of weeks ago at the first show. We've got our next show on July 17th in Pembrokeshire. That is a place name that took me a long time to learn, and I'm Welsh, so I
ain't got a chance.
It's in Mountain Ash, so just say Mountain Ash, it's easier. Mountain Ash. But yeah, it's in this venue like that we found. So one of our trainees, Shane Hooker, his father is connected to the venue, so he just said to me one day when he picked him up, he was like, "Oh, I've got this venue I know of, do you fancy coming to have a look at it?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Went and saw it, and it's like perfect for wrestling. I couldn't believe it. And it's like this hidden gem just sat up in the valleys that no one knows about. And I was like, I gotta have it.
That.
I have to have it. So we had a meeting, we set it up, and I was like, yeah, we're doing this. And yeah, we had that first show, and it was so unbelievably successful. Like, just the atmosphere, not only in the crowd but in the locker room, it was like so much more than I could have expected. I'm man enough to admit I got teary-eyed at the end of that show because it was so emotional not only seeing like my guys doing like absolutely amazing in their matches, but just seeing the entire the crowd were hot from the start to finish, and they loved it. And so much so that the owners of the hall were like, "We want you back. When can you come back?" And we've got dates booked up with them for the rest of the year now, and it's so awesome.
That's brilliant.
They just loved it, and it just shows, you go to these small towns that never really have anything like this, and they're itching for something, and now that we've given them a little taste of it, they're like, they want more, they're like, give me more.
Is that what you consider the hardest part done with that whole process, is actually having somewhere that you seem to have cracked, that then you'll have a presence? So now it's just a case of working on
absolutely
the content, as it were.
Yeah, the hardest part, I think, obviously we're only 2 shows in right now, but it's building that fan base. Like any show, any promotion can say that they have fans, but there's a difference between having fans that come because it's a show, they just see it and they think, I'm going to go, and the fans that are going, that are like, I'm going, I don't care who's wrestling, I'm going to that show. That's the difference between like a run-of-the-mill fan and then a diehard, like, there's a wrestling fan and then there's a No Mercy wrestling fan, and that's what I want to build. I want to build No Mercy wrestling fans. Cool. And I think we've started that with these Cobra shows. It was just electric. It went off the chain. It was so good. And I can't wait to get the footage out there. It's going to be amazing.
So you've already almost like got that hook, something that people will remember No Mercy for already.
Absolutely.
Which is that's a win-win. I watched the I was really saddened actually to see Powered 4 TV is going to
Yes.
cease soon.
Yeah.
I watched the little documentary you got up there, the We Are No Mercy.
Yeah.
Earlier on, which is great. There's something you said in there which really resonated with me, is that you, when you're training your guys, you want to try and take, you want to get back to basics. You know what you're showing them. You want to take the, you know, I call it fluff, but I'm not doing it. Yeah, I know what I mean. The acrobatic kind of stuff. So, you know, if someone was to come to you, you're wanting to learn to wrestle, you know, what could they expect? You know, what style would you sort of start them with? You know, I appreciate later on down the line they can add what they want to it, but what would they expect from a No Mercy training?
You hit the nail on the head. Like I said in the documentary, we just break it down to the start. Like wrestling at its core is grappling on a mat. That's where it comes from, you know. And as I said in the documentary, obviously it's like gone mental since then.
Yeah,
you know, down different avenues, different styles, but essentially it's grappling, and that's what we want to do. We train people. Like I want our guys, because we have guys of many different styles. Like we have like Shane Hooker, who can do every kind of flip you can think of, and he's like a computer game character, you know. Like if someone, I did actually come up with a funny gimmick. I was going to have someone come up with a control pad and like pretend to be controlling him.
I like that.
That'd be funny. But yeah, like he's so athletic and he can just do anything. And he's humble, and he's so young, and he's so humble, and he's just so hungry for it as well. Like he's got the right mind for it. He's got the right attitude. He's going to be like one of the breakout stars, and he will be everywhere soon. And I'm not just saying that because he's one of mine. Like even if he wasn't, I would be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But we've got many guys like that in No Mercy. But just for example, you know, like Shane does all of that stuff, but then we've got guys like Tom Ferriman, who he loves the grappling style and the striking style, and like sort of like, I don't want to say MMA, but that kind of martial arts style, you know. Yeah. And then we've got guys like Adam Carter, who is just a brute. You know, he's 6'2". He's built like a wall. Like you run into Adam and it is like you hit a wall. He's a solid lad. Yeah. And he's just a powerhouse. You know, he can throw, no matter who you are. If he wants to throw you, you're going. You know, you don't have a choice. So, you know, we have many different types of wrestler in No Mercy, but when we come down to it, everyone trains the same at the start. Our beginners do the same fundamentals classes. They do the same drills. We do the same type of training, no matter what style you want to do. And then once you start getting up to intermediate or advanced, and that's when you can start, you know, going into the kind of thing that you want to do. Yeah. But essentially it's all grappling, all basics, all fundamentals at the start.
Do you think you're doing anything different with that, or is this how a lot of indie promotions start off in this way and then let other people add to it what they will? Or are there ones out there that really just go for that kind of new area? I don't know what to say. You know, it's very theatrical. Are they teaching that at grassroots, or do they kind of start like you are?
I think there are going to be a few who they just kind of teach moves, if that makes sense, rather than they'll teach you how to do a move, but they won't teach you why to do the move or when to do the move in a match. You know, like I know of a training school. I'm not going to name them. I don't, you know, cause any stiff. But actually, I don't think they exist anymore, so it doesn't matter. But I remember, like, it was a while ago, and they literally would just teach. It was basically they would bring in people who just wanted to do things they saw on TV. So they would teach them an RKO. They would teach them a Stone Cold Stunner. They would teach them just the big moves that they saw on TV, but they wouldn't say, right, this is how you implement it in a match. This is how you do it. This is, you know, all of that kind of thing. And that just doesn't work. You know, there's a difference between going into the ring and performing a bunch of moves and wrestling. That isn't wrestling. You know, that's play wrestling.
Exactly. It's high spots. And I think that's, for me, that is what the mainstream product nowadays has too much of. I can't remember whose book. I have a feeling it was Brian Blair's book that I've been reading. I've read quite a few of them recently. And I think he had in there, one of the things I never really picked up on as a fan is the transition between moves.
Yeah.
How important that is. And the fact that nowadays, actually, they are lining up all of these high spots, but they're not actually showing how they move between and why, exactly what you just said, really. And why you're stepping into another move and how you're kind of setting that up.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, there is, like, obviously there's people that the highest point of the game that do it, you know, like Ricochet and Will Ospreay, for example. They are unbelievable talents. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that what they do is easy. Like, absolutely not. It's
very impressive.
It's ridiculously athletic, and you have to be talented to do it. But like, Ospreay has stopped kind of doing it now, which thankfully I'm glad of, because he's stepped into a different, like, the wrestler he is now, I much prefer it. Like, he's just brutal, and like, he just hurts people. I love it.
I was quite shocked when I saw that, because the only Will Ospreay stuff that I've really been exposed to is what I've seen on the Marty Scurll DVD that I've got. Yeah. And back then, when he was, I don't know how long he'd been doing it then, but yeah, it was very much he was a white meat baby face, very, you know, flying about all over the place. And then I saw him as a heel, and I was like, I like this.
He's so good as a heel. I love it.
And only a Brit can do that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I just see it as like as I said, don't get me wrong, I don't see it as wrong. I just see it as, it's more like a choreographed dance.
Yeah.
Where you can see every kick is planned, every miss is planned, every step, every bypass, everything is choreographed. Yeah. And I don't think that's wrestling. Like, it's a different style of wrestling. But to me personally, wrestling is like, you got to look like you're trying to win. You got to look like,
quite.
You know, it like, to me, wrestling is scrappy. It doesn't look perfect. Wrestling shouldn't be perfect, because at the end of the day, look at two guys in an MMA cage and they just start wailing on each other. That's not pretty at all. No. It looks horrible, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, and there's moments where they're stopping, they're pausing.
Exactly.
Before the next bit. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that, like, I find, as I said, wrestling that's too choreographed. I'm not really into it. But on the same hand, it's still an unbelievable skill to have. It is.
I think whenever you see it live, whether it is at a WWE or AEW show, or you're seeing it at an independent show, you know, I think whenever you see stuff like that, you walk away impressed.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I remember seeing Ospreay at an Attack show in Cardiff like a few years ago, and as I said, like, I'm not a huge fan of that choreographed style, but seeing it in person, I was marking out. Of course, I was. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, like, you're still gonna go, oh, you're still gonna react to it.
Yeah.
But personally, I prefer the more.
We're on the
the more, as I can't really say realistic, but you know what I mean. Yeah. You know, the more grounded wrestling.
Yeah. Style. Traditional. Should we say traditional?
Traditional. Let's do it.
Yeah. Although it's not, you know.
Even though I do flips now and again, you know, I think
time and a place. I mean, you know, that style of wrestling has been around since, I mean, you think the early 90s. People that spring to mind, Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
Owen Hart. 1, 2, 3 Kid, you know, that was all sort of early 90s stuff. Muta.
Some of the stuff Owen Hart was doing in Calgary in the late 80s, like, you don't even see that now.
No.
You know, like, backflipping off people's shoulders and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You never saw that back then. That was great.
No, and so, you know, it's always been there, but it wasn't quite so every single match.
Of course.
You knew it was happening.
It's oversaturation again.
It is a bit. It is a bit. But right, let's bring it a little more up to date, because you've got a very exciting event coming up.
Oh yes,
I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'll let you introduce it, actually. But you've got a very special guest coming along as well. I'll you know, anyone who doesn't know, Scotty Too Hotty, Scott Garland is gracing No Mercy Wrestling. So tell us about it. You know, how it came about, really, not only with him, but how you're building the show and what you've got planned for it.
Well, I was born and grew up in Pembrokeshire in West Wales. And in Pembrokeshire, there is nothing. There's not to put a finer point on it. We had nothing. There's no events. The only wrestling we ever had was when Welsh Wrestling would come by every summer for a couple of weeks in Tenby, and that was it. And as I said, I think I said in the last interview, like, nothing wrong with Welsh Wrestling. Their style, I take my hat off to those guys. They make a living. They're permanently on the road. Their life is hard. You know, they're working twice a day sometimes, and I commend them for it. But it's more of a pantomime style, like a camp style, which again, nothing wrong with it. It's just not what we do. So that's the only wrestling that in Pembrokeshire we were ever used to. So I've always, in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to bring wrestling, my kind of wrestling, home. Not only because, like, any wrestler wants to wrestle in their hometown. Like, if they say they don't, they're lying. Any wrestler would love to work in their hometown because you know you're going to have a crowd there for you. And that's going out before you go out into the curtain, knowing that you're going to get a reaction is a huge stress relief. Let's put it that way. So everyone wants to work in their hometown, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it there. But I also wanted to bring something different. Like, we're going to be in a nightclub. It's called Out in Pembroke, and it's going to be very different. It's very, very different. So it's basically like a big pit, and with a balcony, 360 balcony all the way around the ring.
I have a feeling Torquay down here has a similar kind of thing.
It's very similar to like the old Progress venues, like the smaller Progress venues. But yeah, the guy that runs it, I've known him for a while, and because the actual club has been closed for like quite a few years. Like, COVID got rid of it, and he bought it, rebranded it, spent a lot of money doing it up, and I just noticed one day online that he had it, and I was like, let's have a look. And so when I was thinking about it, I wasn't thinking about booking, Scotty at all. No. I was just wanting to run a show there because, as I said, I just wanted to run in my hometown. And I went and saw him. We had a meeting. I looked around the place. I was like, this is perfect. I can't wait to run here. He's hugely into wrestling himself, so he's up for it. Yeah. And then it just, as I said last time, and as I said in the documentary, fate just happened, and I got a message from Gary from Wrestle Carnival. We stay in touch. Mm-hmm. And he said, just to let you know, Scotty Too Hotty's in the country in July, because I've booked him myself, just giving you a heads up. I was like, oh, okay. So I just sent Scott an email, and I was like, hey, I run No Mercy Wrestling, blah, blah, blah. Be interested in booking you. Can I know your fee? How do you feel about it? And he was like, he was so nice. Like, I can't believe how nice he is. Right. I don't know what I was expecting, but he's just a nice dude. He's just a nice dude.
You forget, don't you, really, though? A lot of them are still human.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. And because, like, I don't know, I think I was expecting the Scotty Too Hotty you see on TV, and I don't know. It was like, it was the Meet Your Hero thing. And anyway, we negotiated for a while, and I was like, well, the only date that he had available was July 14th, which is a Thursday, and I wanted, of course, every promoter wants a weekend for obvious reasons. So, but unfortunately, he only had July 14th Thursday available. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to try. So I went to the venue owner, Carl, and I said, right, Carl, we've got 4.5 weeks. Can we do this? And he went, damn right we can. So I pressure. So I was like, do you know what? Everything with No Mercy so far has been under pressure, so why change now? Absolutely. So I booked Scotty Too Hotty with 4.5 weeks notice to do this show. So
obviously it'd be stupid of me to ask, you obviously know what your plans are for him for the show. I'm not expecting you to divulge those. But obviously, giving people a bit of the old school, or are we sort of, trying to bring Scotty a little bit more up to date? What's happening?
It'll be a little bit of both. As you said, like I know the plans, obviously. I'm not going to divulge too much, but I will give a little clue. All I'll say is I'm the biggest Too Cool mark you'll ever find. When I was 13, 14 years old, I was a huge Too Cool fan, to the point where I dressed up as Grandmaster Sexay and like envisioned tagging with Scotty Too Hotty. That's all I'll say.
Oh, okay. I got a fair idea. If it's going along that, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, but I don't know whether this is going to be too marky. I don't know whether I should do it or not. But I really want to dance with him.
Come on, you've got to. I've got tickets to see him at one of the legs I think a couple of weeks later he's coming down to Exeter.
Yeah.
So I'd already, by the time you'd announced them, I'd already got tickets to go and see that. I think that is the one thing everyone is expecting. In a way, whether you think it will happen or not, I think that's the one thing you can probably get away with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I've been practicing the worm for 15 years. It's for this moment.
Absolutely.
And I can do it. I can do the worm, and people don't think I can do it, but I can do it. And this is the reason why. I didn't know why I was learning how to do it, but now I know this is the reason. And as I said, fate has landed in my lap, and I will be doing the worm with Scott.
Is that stepping outside of your kind of, character, as it were, your persona?
Oh, 100%.
A little bit. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, why not? Why not? One night only.
We're going to be, it's going to be a different kind of show to what No Mercy is used to doing. It's going to be very indie, if you will. It's going to be dropping the veil a little bit, a lot less serious.
Sure.
Having a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And similar, like Modern Nomad is a great example. Like the local shindy shows they put on, like with Detective Gene Money and all of that stuff with the voiceovers going like that. Like to a traditional serious wrestling fan, they'd be like, oh no, that's terrible. That's killing the business. But I think in the certain time and place, it's so good.
Yeah. And
we were working crewing for Modern Nomad, and Gene Money came out as his detective persona, and he had like voiceovers going on, and he kept like a fake cigarette in his mouth the entire show of the match, and like he built the match around trying to get his hat back. It was so funny. I had tears in my eyes, and I don't usually like that style of wrestling, but it was so good. So I was like, I'm definitely wanting to implement a lot more of that in these shows.
That's cool. I think a certain element of that, people do expect that now. I mean, even back in the day, I'm reading more and more, delving into wrestling history and that. The house shows, particularly during the 90s, there was some great ribs as they were, I guess, between some of the guys. Owen Hart was normally involved. But they would throw some stuff in matches that you would never see on TV. But, you had to, why not?
They can get away with it when the cameras aren't rolling.
Exactly.
You can do so much more.
Yeah, and you send the fans home with something they can remember.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what I'm planning for this, is sending everyone home with like, that was amazing. And hopefully, and if that goes well, we can go back there and I can run regularly. Because as I said, not only am I going to have Scotty Too Hotty on my show, but I'm going to be working in front of my hometown, and all of my old school friends are going to be there, and most of them have never even, they don't even know I wrestle, never mind seen it. So now they've seen me advertise it, they're like, what is going on? Because I'm on the poster with Scotty, and they're like, what? It's brilliant.
Amazing.
July 14th in Pembroke, in Pembrokeshire. That's when the show is happening. And actually, funnily enough, I've just had a notification. A competition has just gone up on Facebook for people to win tickets.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so if you head to the No Mercy Facebook page, depending on when you're...
I'll add it on later.
Brilliant. Depending on when you're watching this, of course, it might have already finished. But
depends. This will go out within a couple of days, so it depends how. Cool. Yeah, so it should still be up there. But
awesome.
No, I encourage anyone within the vicinity. I mean, even if you're not in the sort of the Wales district, get over there.
We've got a few guys traveling from Cardiff way to come down to watch it, and at the end of the day, it's Scotty Too Hotty. You got to see it. It's going to be great.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's so great that there are still these guys from our day back then who are still doing it and still can. There's some people, there's an obvious one I could throw out there that I know is getting back in the ring and really shouldn't have, and I've said it many, many times over the last many years that he should be doing it. But from what I've seen of Scotty, he can still go.
Absolutely.
He's kept himself.
he was smart. You think about what he actually did back in the Attitude Era. He didn't go crazy.
No.
He was smart. He kept it simple. That's why he can carry on doing it. And obviously he was a trainer in the performance center, so he had access to all of that service, all of the rehabilitation and all that. So he can go. He can really, really go. It's great.
He actually, where I live in Newton Abbot in South Devon. This is going back probably about 6 years or so, maybe 6 or 7 years. Too Cool were in our town, actually in Newton Abbot, in one of the community centres here.
Oh, wow.
And it was just when they started, a certain company around here was starting to do shows around, Newton Abbot, Paignton, around Torbay where I am.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go. It was my kids probably were only about sort of 6 months old or something at the time, or just under a year.
Yeah.
My missus, it was Valentine's night. I couldn't go because my missus went to see 50 Shades of Grey in the cinema with her friend. And, obviously Brian Christopher was still with them as well. And I won't let her forget that now, that I missed out on that because she was literally just down the road from the venue watching 50 Shades.
Man.
There we go.
That's unfortunate.
It is a bit.
Very.
But there we go. Oh, no, all the best of it. That sounds an absolutely amazing show. What you guys have done, what you've done already, with No Mercy is nothing short of amazing.
Thank you.
Like I say, considering coming out of the last couple of years that we've had, and the fact that you just hit the ground running, and I follow you. I would absolutely, a bit like Carnage. I would love to plan if ever between the two of you can get some shows over like a couple of days apart.
Yeah,
gives me a reason to come up there, and I could sort of take both shows.
Well, we do have a show a week apart.
Oh,
I don't know if I can say, because I don't know if they've announced it. I don't know if they've announced it yet.
All right, let me know separately.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I mean, I can say mine. Our second Team Reese Gym show will be August 20th. All I'll say is I think possibly theirs might be around that date, but don't quote me on it because I don't know if they've announced it.
That's fine. I'll keep that under my hat, and I will have a look at that. I really, really would love to come and experience it for myself.
Absolutely.
So I will obviously, like I always do, I'll put all your links and everything, and link people to where to find you. But just for the purpose of this, as well as the show that's coming up, anything that you've got coming up, that you've got going on, you want to give a shout out to, a couple of minutes before we finish, just to give you the floor, really.
I mean, I think I've pretty much said it all, but I'll do it again. I mean, obviously we've got the Scotty Too Hearty show. It's called Out for Wrestling on Thursday, July 14th in Pembrokeshire. A few days later, we've got our second Cobras show in the new series for our, as I said, our developmental, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Dawn of the Cobras. Rise of the Cobras was the first one. Where we've got the semi-finals of the Iron Cobra tournament and a few other matches, of course. And then after that, I think we are we got Team Reese Gym August 20th, where the final of the Iron Cobra tournament will be held. And we've ght some very, very awesome names for that show already booked, and I can't wait. I actually night before last, booked a very prominent name in Brit Wres who is making his return after a couple of years.
Okay.
I can't say who it is because I haven't announced him yet, but we're going to be his first show back after a couple of years.
Wow.
And he's a very, let's say he's a huge Progress favorite back in the day.
Okay.
And he's based in Wales, so you might be able to put some two and two together with that. But I booked him 2 days ago, so
wow,
he's going to be on it. We're going to have Kelly Six. We're going to have all of the usual favorites. Who else we got? We've got Big T on. We've got Jay Joshua, who also is going to be on the July 14th show as well, actually, saying that. All the usual No Mercy guys. That show is going to be huge. And then after that, I think it's September 18th is the third Cobra show in Pembrokeshire, Mountain Ash again. And then we'll have our Halloween show in October for the Cobras. And then we'll have our Christmas show in Team Reese in December. So
I was going to ask, actually, how far do you plan? You mentioned about the last 3 count of the show that you're on. Is your mind already thinking about the next show? Is it already pretty much planned? Yeah,
absolutely. So. Yeah, I'm me personally, I'm 2 shows ahead all the time.
Yeah.
All like the rest of my team, obviously they're set on what's coming next. Mm-hmm. But I'm always like a show or 2 ahead, because if I don't do that, my brain explodes. So I've got to stay ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But, I've tried to book all the way up to the end of the year, just so I can, when Christmas comes around, I can just be like, right, calm down,
breathe,
have a couple of weeks off. Now let's get back onto it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've got a lot coming up. And of course we've got seminars for the academy coming up. We had, in the space of like 3 months, we had Martin Kirby, Kelly Six, Mark Andrews. Have we had any more? Danny Jones. Yeah, that was all in the space. I think that was in the space of like 2.5 months. So
it's insane.
We got loads more coming as well, which is going to be great.
I'll tell you what, so let's do this again. Let's complete a trilogy. The end of the year, about 6 months' time, we could do a year in review.
Why not?
That'd be amazing. So,
that sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much for coming back on. This has been amazing to catch up with you. And I encourage anyone out there who's watched this who doesn't already, follow the No Mercy Wrestling pages. I'll put the links on the episodes. But keep up to date. There's some fantastic stuff by the sounds of it that is still to remain for this year. So yeah, no, all the best with it all, mate.
Thank you, mate, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime, mate. Speak to you again.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.